Hi guys, Korean movie recapped here. Today, I'm going to recap a Korean movie released in 2017, called Forgotten. Warning, spoilers ahead. The film is about Jin, a 21-year-old man who finds out a life-changing fact following his brother's kidnapping. He finds out that all of his life might be a lie. Can he handle the truth? The story starts with Jin moving to his new house with his father, mother, and older brother. His older brother, Yu, is a dependable person that he always adores. Yu is bright and athletic, yet he is also sociable, making him popular among his friends and loved by his family. Yu has a limp on his left leg after getting into a car accident a few years ago, but it doesn't prevent him from being active every day. They start moving the furniture inside their new house with the help of some movers. The year is 1997, a fresh new start in their new home. Jin finds out that he will be sharing the room with Yu for a while because the old owner still uses one of the rooms to store his stuff. As they tidy up their room, their mom calls Yu downstairs, leaving Jin with one of the movers. The mover asks Jin about his older brother's age. Jin laughs it out because people often think that they don't have a similar face. Yu comes and tells the mover to help his mom in the kitchen as the two of them continue to tidy up their new room. After a few hours, they are done with moving the furniture in. On the rainy night, they have a feast together to celebrate their new home. Their father reminds them not to open the locked room as requested by the old owner. They'll have to share the room until the old owner empties the locked room in about a month, which Jin happily does. As they enjoy the food, Jin hears a heavy loud sound from the locked room upstairs, but the others tell him it might be thunder. Before they finish the feast, the father reminds Jin to take his daily antidepressant medicine. It's their first night in the new house. Yu goes to bed first as Jin listens to music on his earphone. Suddenly, he hears another loud sound from the room. This time he goes to investigate it. Just before he is about to open the door, Yu appears behind him and asks what he is doing. They listen from outside the room carefully but hear no sound. Jin still insists that he hears something, so Yu takes him outside to get some fresh air. As they stand together under the rain, they talk for a bit to clear their mind. Jin says his thanks to Yu because he is always there for him. Yu picks up his flip phone to answer a call from their father, telling him to do something. So Yu heads back first, leaving Jin alone to enjoy the rain with his music player. After a while, he decides to head back too, but unexpectedly witnesses his older brother being kidnapped by a group of men that dumped him into a van and left. He rushes back home to notify his parents and collapses afterward. While unconscious, he keeps getting dreams about something that feels real to him. After a couple of days, he finally regains consciousness. His parents are glad to see him okay, but Yu is still missing. They tell him that the detectives will soon come to ask him what happened that night. Jin retells exactly what happened to the detectives and gives them the license plate number of the black van that the kidnappers use. But the detectives insist that such a van doesn't exist. It makes Jin frustrated, so they end the interrogation. The waiting game starts. They wait for the kidnapper to contact them for ransom money. After 2 weeks have passed, nothing significant happens. Jin starts to have the same dream over and over again, a familiar scene that feels so real. On top of that, he also gets nightmares about the locked room. Suddenly, on the morning of the 19th day since the kidnapping, Yu suddenly returns by himself. However, he has no recollection of what happened. The doctor believes that the traumatic experience has repressed his memories of that day. Jin notices small changes in Yu's behavior. He often goes out at night but already comes back by the morning, which at first Jin ignores. One day, Jin is about to take his daily antidepressant medicine. But it falls under the kitchen counter. When he tries to take it, Yu comes and invites him to eat together, making him skip his daily medicine that day. Jin asks where Yu goes at night, but he tells him that it might just be in his dream. After finishing his meal, Yu heads out to do his daily activities. As he walks to the door, Jin notices that Yu is limping on his right leg, which should be his left leg. Yu laughs it out and just walks away. Jin heads back to his room to study for the entrance exam until night. At night, the whole family eats dinner together, then Jin goes back to study until he falls asleep on the desk. Yu suddenly gets up and plays the mechanical pen to Jin's face, then heads out. At first, Jin pretends to be asleep but then decides to follow Yu. As Yu entered a taxi, Jin quickly calls another taxi to follow him. They get off at the nearby market area. Jin sees Yu meet with two thugs that turn out to be the same persons as the detective that questioned him weeks ago. As Jin follows Yu further, he is stopped by those two thugs. They chase him around, making Jin has no option but to run. When Jin thinks he is out of danger, his brother appears out of nowhere and sedates him. The next day, Jin finds himself asleep at the desk where he studied before he starts following Yu. Still in shock, he runs away from Yu and locks himself in the bathroom. Yu tries to convince Jin that it was not real as Jin skipped his medication yesterday. Jin tells him that the chase, the taxi, the thugs, are only his hallucinations. Jin calms down a bit then apologizes to Yu. When he goes back to study, he finds the pencil lead that was dropped by Yu last night and remembers that he didn't mention anything about the taxi to Yu. This makes him sure that the one who came back from the kidnapping is not his real brother. He tells this to his mom and plans to follow Yu together the next time he heads out. At night, he has another nightmare about the locked room. When he wakes up, he goes to the kitchen to get a glass of water. He accidentally overhears his mother talking on the phone, telling Yu that Jin is starting to get suspicious of them. As Jin walks closer, the creak sound of the floor alerts her. Jin quickly runs outside to hide as the mother tries to find the sound source. The mother is convinced that it is Jin, so she goes upstairs to check his room. Jin quickly climbs up the outer wall under the rain to his room upstairs. He manages to tuck himself under the blanket before the mother gets there. But he is soaking wet, and the window is open, making it clear that he was from outside. The mother calls the father on the phone to tell him that her cover has been blown. Jin has enough and jumps out of the window. He meets the father at the gate, still trying to convince him that they are his family. But now, Jin is convinced that his parents aren't his real family too. Therefore, he runs away and rushes to the nearest police station while being chased by one of the thugs. After he reaches a nearby police station, he proceeds to explain the situation to the police. But his explanation leaves the officers quite puzzled. When Jin says that he is 20 years old, the police become more confused and tell him to see himself in the mirror. Finally, he looks at the mirror and sees an older man. At this point, he realizes that he's not as young as he thought. The year is 2017, not 1997. Confused and angry, he goes back to the house and goes straight to the locked room. There he finds two mannequins lying down on the floor with fake blood. The family shows up, and Jin demands an explanation. The young man who pretends to be his brother explains a murder at the house that happened 20 years ago on the 20th of December of 1997. A mother and her teenage daughter were killed. However, the police couldn't solve the case. Several years later, the victim's family hired him to find the killer. After some careful investigation, he was able to determine Jin as the murderer. Therefore, his team kidnaps him and tortures him to obtain a confession. However, he doesn't have any memory of being a killer. As a result, the young man decides to try hypnosis to make him remember. The team creates a new plan to make Jin return to his last happy memory and recreate the events that led to that fateful night. That way, Jin might remember what happened that night. Everything was going according to the plan, until the police arrested the young man for fraud. They released him 19 days later, which would explain the abduction that Jin witnessed. The mysterious sound from the locked room that he hears is the man's team reconstructing the murder scene. And to keep Jin under hypnosis, they give him the special medicine that he takes daily. Although Jin believes in the story, he reassures that he never killed anyone. At a moment of confusion, he throws himself out of the van to run away. They try to chase him but ends up crashing the van onto a tree. Jin tries to leave the scene, but a truck passes by and hits him in a moment of distraction. As he's lying on the ground, he starts to remember the past. During the flashback, Jin is with his real family in a car. But suddenly, they get into an accident. The car accident kills both of his parents and leaves his older brother in critical condition. 6 months later, the doctor tells him that his brother needs surgery soon. At that time, the country's economy was bad. Being only a high school graduate also doesn't help. He posts a message on an internet forum asking for a job. An anonymous user approaches him and offers him a job. He needs him to kill a woman in exchange for money. Desperate for money, he accepts. The anonymous user provides an address and instructions on how to enter the house. Jin is ordered to kill the woman and leave her 2 children unharmed. Inside the house, Jin starts to have second thoughts and is about to leave. However, the woman approaches him. When she sees Jin holding a knife, she screams. He tells her not to scream, which she abides. However, the daughter walks downstairs and sees him. She panics and runs upstairs to hide. Jin goes after her and accidentally stabs her. Seeing the wounded daughter, the mother screams, making Jin panic and stab her. Right before Jin leaves the house, a little boy appears. Jin tells him to go to bed and counts to 110, and waits for his mom. The boy does as he's told. As Jin walks outside, he looks at the family portrait and realizes that the house belongs to his brother's doctor. Jin meets up with the anonymous user. As he suspected, it was his brother's doctor. The doctor explains that he needs his wife's life insurance money to keep their kids out of the street due to the economic crisis. The doctor is angry when he finds out that Jin killed his daughter too. He tries to throw Jin from the rooftop, but he slips and falls to his death during the fight. The flashback is over, and Jin regains consciousness at the hospital. The young man that pretends to be his older brother is waiting for him there. He is about to inject poison into Jin's IV when Jin finally confesses to the murder. He remembers every single detail now and tells him the truth. As Jin tells him the story, the young man reveals to him that he was the little boy on that night. He suffers a lot when he grows up in an orphanage and can't enjoy the insurance money as his relatives took everything away. The young man asks Jin who is the one who told him to kill his mother. He suspected his own father as he registered a bunch of insurance just before his mother's death. But Jin lies to him, telling him that it was his own doing. The man can read past Jin's lies and walks away with the bitter truth that he already suspected all along. In the end, they both can't handle the truth. The young man leaves the room to jump out from a window, while Jin injects himself with the poison. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.